the police, even if they involved adults. Why did the Sea Org like to enjoy the recruitment of young people? The answer lay in the history of the CMO. The CMO, the Commodore's Messenger Organisation, was established on the ship by L. Ron Hubbard, aka the Commodore of the Sea Org. Young children provided a very unique perspective. One, they were easily taught, easily trained, and could easily be made to worship or deify a senior authority or person. When they saw the horrors of the Sea Organisation, such as heavy ethics and justice, it wasn't hard to convince a person to join the CMO. CMO, typically from continent to continent, and particularly in Los Angeles, enjoyed a higher level of birthing conditions, food conditions, and welfare conditions above any other members of the Sea Org. Also, being children, they would naturally have a fear of adults. Being in the CMO was of a great advantage because here they were made authoritative and given total authority over all other Sea Org members. This gave them the authority they needed to feel protected. Also, love bombing, a commonly documented technique in cults, was very prevalent in the CMO. The CMO ate away from the rest of the Sea Org, we birthed away from the rest of the Sea Org, and we had our own separate quarters, our own separate musters and conditions. Such an environment was very conducive to young children. As an example, in the Commodore's Messenger Organisation in Los Angeles at the Hollywood Guarantee Building, very few messengers were over the age of 18. This created a good, unique environment for children to thrive in, where they felt they were part of a similar group of people. Policies in the Sea Org that allowed us to bring the children in at such an early age did not exist. Simply, what existed was the desire to have Sea Org members. I recruited public Scientologists as young as 15 years of age to come into the Sea Org and join the CMO. Why did the parents permit this? The parents permitted this because, primarily, they knew that if their children joined an organisation such as Bridge Publications Incorporated or Celebrity Centre International, they would receive some form of status and better treatment than the average Sea Org member. However, allowing them to the CMO offered their children a very unique chance to be part of a more elite group. Also within the CMO, we provided and guaranteed education to our children. However, none of this was ever delivered. In fact, the moment the person started working for the CMO, no education was allowed at all. However, we had a legal responsibility in regards to allowing children to be educated. How we got around this is that there were several educators involved in the WISC group, or World International Scientology Enterprises Incorporated, around the world. And these educators existed in Los Angeles, and what would happen is we would pay them, and we would send one of the messengers out. And what they would do is what was known as a pre-examination, where they were actually given the actual exam required to pass the legal requirements. They would always fail because they hadn't received an education. What would then happen is the answers were fed to the children over a period of several hours, and then they were given the exam, quote, for real. Of course, they would pass the examination. Passing the examination, they were then given a certificate of educational requirements. The Office of Special Affairs in Los Angeles and all Church of Scientology International directors were well aware of the scam. However, legally it couldn't be rebuffed, as the parents of Scientologists would not refute that this had actually happened, and they would stand by their children and say they had received an education even when they had not. The last known example of this that I was involved in was the sending of Suzette Barnett to the international base. Her mother, a prominent Scientologist out in the field, condoned and accepted her daughter to go through illegal certification of her educational requirements in order to facilitate her daughter rising through the ranks of Scientology. I want to outline to the politicians and the media that may be listening to this audio presentation the severe results of our actions. The result of these actions resulted in children that no longer pursued sports, no longer pursued arts, crafts, or any other form of career, and as a result the children grew up without having any other options in their life other than to pursue careers within the Sea Organisation. In particular, children that had grown up in the cadet organisation were literally condemned to a life within the Sea Org regardless of what they wanted, because their parents were in it and they hadn't known anything their entire lives. Children that were recruited publicly and then put into the CMO had a second option. If they did leave the Sea organisation, they could hypothetically get another career. However, if years had passed between these dates, they were now young adults and would no longer qualify to go through standard educational lines. This is one of the reasons why parents of SEALG members, particularly young SEALG members, often assist and keep their children within the SEALG after this and once they decide to leave. It is because they know that they can't particularly have much of a career outside of the SEALG. I have provided this very brief information as a guide to others out there about just how many children were involved in this in Los Angeles and the ages of those children. There isn't a single person I have named that cannot be contacted and have verified through their personnel records that they were in fact in the SEALG at too early of an age. Such staff members such as Adam Modris and Zane Hollingsworth are clear examples, including Tyrone Webb, of people being allowed in at far too early of an age. It would be impossible for the Church of Scientology International to deny the existence of such a program to recruit young people, and I stand by to assist with anybody who wishes more information.